Okay. We are recording, so want to say hi? Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Q&A session. Lexi Blake has apparently stopped talking for some reason.
Oh no, it's just I'm really nervous in front of Zoom. No, I'm not. I'm on Zoom all the freaking time.
Yes.
Zoom and I are like really close friends now. So hello.
Hello. What are we gonna do? Do you have a toast, or do we have a?
I do. Well, I always have a drink.
Okay. Yes. So we will Sante before we start. Sante before we start.
We're supposed to look into each other's eyes. Sante.
Sante before we start. I have wine, but then I also have tequila. So just a little tequila.
I did not have tequila. I can't find the tequila we liked anymore.
We found the biggest bottle ever, and that's the one I've been drinking from. So I swear this thing is like 2 feet tall or something. It's like your love bottle from
my vodka, my Ciroc bottle.
Yes,
the one that I called my baby and carried around for a long time until I drank it.
I think we got it at Specs, but I'm not sure.
See, I can't find it at Specs. And see, now we're just talking about liquor. But you know what?
It's important stuff.
It's 2020.
That's right. Okay.
So what we did, for any of you who are not in Lexi's Literary Universe, it's a little group of about 2,000 of us who kind of get together, and it's on Facebook, and I share, what I've written today, and we talk about the books and stuff like that. I went to them and asked them, what kind of questions do you have for me? Because I haven't done this in a while. They came up with 148. I am not answering 148 questions. But we picked out a bunch, and we're going to try to answer kind of the spectrum of what they asked. If you would like to join the LLU, they just need to look for Lexi's Literary Universe, right?
Yes, and it's an open group, so you should be able to find it.
Open but private.
Open, yes.
Yeah.
But it's not secret, like something like you can find it.
Not a secret group.
Not a secret group. You can find it just by searching for it. Okay. I just want to clarify. We're doing all the questions, or we're just doing the ones you highlighted?
I just sent you the email. Do all those questions.
Okay.
Because it's not 148 questions. I just
pulled. Oh, that's right. It was 10 pages when I sent it to you. It's 5 now. So you culled them down quite a bit. Okay. So we're going to get started with the first one. It was kind of the same type of question from Kimberly List, Nicole Mateo, and Karen Hawk. And the questions are, have you ever confused yourself with all the characters in the timeline? How do you keep all this world so fluid and organized? And how do you keep your characters straight, especially when doing crossover books?
Chloe, have I ever gotten confused?
And this one, because Happily Ever After and Bliss.
This one was not bad. Happily Ever After and Bliss damn near killed me.
Because it was even harder because spoiler for those of you who might not, there is a time jump and
yeah, but not for Happily Ever After and Bliss.
Yes, but I kept having to think about, that character is not in that place where he was.
You gotta think about that a lot because Bliss didn't time jump. I've still got a couple of books left in Bliss that are in the former previous timeline.
Yes.
And people know that I had always intended with No Love Lost to, at some point in time, after this book, time jump. And we're to go forward about 7 years. So that is where the Masters and Mercenaries world is 7 years in the future from where where you think it was.
Right.
And Bliss is still, Tag's kids are still like 6 years old. But it's okay. It'll work out. It won't be too confusing because it'll be fine.
It's not, but it was confusing it was a little confusing while writing it. So.
Well, it was also the fact that Happily Ever After and Bliss takes place over the course of the year. And there are a whole bunch of books that Henry shows up in that I have to deal with in that book, including Back in Bliss, Sirens in Bliss, Nobody Does It Better, and Lost Hearts.
Yes.
All happen in that book. And so I have to deal with that. So yeah, it was hell. So how do I keep track? Well, first of all, I've got Chloe, who knows when somebody smiled at noon, and then it's like, it's 12:01. Why aren't they still smiling? Now you have them frowning. I lose my damn mind, go off. Which one was it? Happily Ever After and Bliss that I told you I was chucking the whole thing?
Yes, it was.
And yeah, and I was walking away, and the book is done. I'm not going to write it. Nell will just be pregnant. It's fine. And I always, she's like, it's not that bad. Just take a chill pill, go drink a martini. And although this time she just said, yeah, I think you should. Just scrap it off.
I knew you were
do it.
doing that. You were 30,000 words in by that point. There was no way you were just dumping that book.
No, I wasn't. I was being a brat. So to this, how do I keep track? Well, we got a very, very long, very detailed Bible for pretty much everything I write. We even went back, because when I first started writing Thieves, we didn't have these like procedures, because I just had a baby, and Chloe we were stay-at-home moms, and we didn't keep a Bible. So I got 6 or 7 books in, and we had 22 pages versus the 500 pages we have for Masters and Mercenaries. And obviously Thieves is urban fantasy, so it's got world building in it. So we had to have Maria go in and basically build out that Bible. So that's what we do. We keep track, even within books. Chloe tends to keep a timeline within the book.
Yes.
If you ever hear me talking about somebody being a slave to the timeline, I'm talking about her, or her. You're here for me. But it is a great thing to have. And I also have some beta readers who've read pretty much everything and who can come back at me and say, yeah, well, what about this? Which also makes me say, I'm the artist. Now, one of the things we're hoping to have in the next couple of months is we are building something where we can share that Bible with y'all in a way that makes it easy for y'all to find little facts and like look up some stuff that you might want to look up instead of having to go back to all the books, because there are a lot of them.
I know I finished entering all the main characters for the M&M series today. So I'm getting there.
It's basically a wiki. We're building our own wiki.
Yes. So yeah, and I also want to say, if you are a new writer out there, like Lexi was saying, when we started, we did not do Thieves at all. There was no Bible for Thieves. And even the first couple of Small Town Siren and Siren the City, I just took notes on a sheet of paper while I was reading. And then I didn't keep those notes because the book was done. And then it was like, hey, how come so-and-so's, what color is so-and-so's hair? And then it was.
Oh, how many times did Stella's last name change?
That took a while.
Honest to God, it still changes every now and then. Although now she's a Talbot, so.
yes. So yeah.
That's much easier. It was like.
Benoit, I think.
Benoit. I can't.
There were several B's they were all B's, I think, but yeah, but I think everything, all that's fixed now with the re-releases and everything. So, but yeah.
Somebody out there, some smarty pants out there is right now going through going.
So advice: start from your first book, even if you don't think there's ever going to be a second book in that series. Start, because you never know when you're going to need that information. So. Okay, second question from Ms. Carla Boone, and she said, this may be kind of long. As Chloe knows, I finished a 3-year battle with breast cancer last year, and now my doctors want me to write a book. I thought it was off my cancer journey, but then she said, no, it's about your life. So you've had so much happen to you, and you're still here. You would be an inspiration. I have no idea how to start. She just told me to start writing, and it would come out. How would you do it?
Well, first of all, I would decide if I want to write a book. There are other ways to be inspirational, lots of them. Writing is hard. I always this is the same thing I would tell an actor who wanted to go into acting. If you can do anything else, go do it. It's a hard, now you would want to do this for a different reason. You don't necessarily want to make a living off of it. You want to tell your story. In that case, like I said, there are a whole bunch of different ways to tell a story. You figure out what you want to say, and then how you want to say it. You know, do you want to just talk to people and say it, or do you want this to have to be bigger? Do you want to write it as fiction, or do you want to write a memoir? And you know what I would say is start by writing down what you would want people to get out of what you would write, and take it from there. And then you'll figure out, is this fiction? Am I fictionalizing my own story? Or am I writing a memoir that's just going to take you through this journey? So that's kind of where I would start.
Very nice.
And good luck. And
yes, good luck. Okay, Pam Rose says, I know you do a ton of research for your books. What was your favorite to research and learn about?
Do I do a lot of research, or do I say, hey, Chloe, how do you blow this up? And you're like, I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know. What did I ask you to research that one time? It was like sarin gas?
How to distribute some sort of gas through an aerosol, in an aerosol method. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it is always easier to research when you have a couple of people who do it for you. With me being spoiled brat. I think my favorite research is when we travel. If I take a lot of notes, I take a lot of, I put a lot of I talk into my phone, in the recorder on my phone, to talk about what's happening. Like I remember vividly, we were in the Paris cemetery, right. And I'm the weirdo of our group who's like standing over it to the side, like, there are a lot of birds here. I hear a lot of birds. And when I hear the birds, it's weird because it kind of echoes through, and I'm talking about feelings. And then I take all these pictures, and we find the one place where Tucker's going to end up hiding the dead. Yeah. Those are always fun. And if Chloe is with me, I tend to make her walk through these things. Like we're taking pictures of like, what's it's always important to know what the ground is. So, because they're always running. Yes. And I mean, just say it's way easier to be a spy in America.
The streets are a lot.
Cobblestones suck.
The streets are a lot more level.
I wasn't even running.
Yeah, no, it was hard to walk on at times.
So yeah, the research I did for No Love Lost, I was in Malta at this point in time last year. I wish I was there again. And I did a ton of research over there. Specifically on Fort St. Angelo, which is where, a good portion of the book takes place.
Right. Okay. Marilyn Cooper asked, do you have a go-to genre when you just want to curl up and read versus write? If so, do you have a favorite author in that genre?
Yes, I like fantasy. I tend to like fantasy world. I read a lot of thrillers, but if I had to go to if you have to read something tomorrow to make you feel good and to get away from the world, it would be fantasy. My favorite right now is Sarah J. Maas. Yes. But I also love Jen Armentrout. Jen Armentrout writes a great fantasy. I love them specifically because they have romances in them. Yeah. I read a lot of J.R. Ward too. I like paranormal.
Okay. Ozma, I guess. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right. And Christy, have a question about... I know, I'm so sorry. And I was a teacher, so I really should be better. Which of the kids in the Masters and Mercenaries world are you most excited to write? And then Christy is asking specifically, can Daisy please get a book?
Okay, well, normally if I have built a character up, and Daisy has not even been seen on screen yet, but she's all over No Love Lost because poor Lee is very, very...
He's rose-colored glasses on about his...
Yeah, he does not really understand the teenage girl. Yeah, and doesn't want to. But yes, obviously I'm going to at some point in time write Daisy. I would expect books about almost all of especially the core 5, their kids. So, Sean and Grace, Karina, Adam and Jake, Leah, Avery, Alex, Neve, and the Taggarts, that will happen. So, obviously I love to write Colin Kenzie. Colin Kenzie are super fun, just because they're like, They're like Ian, like they split their personalities, and Charlotte's all in one and Ian's all in the other, and they have to deal with them. But they've also got the closest I've seen to what I see in my mind is if you have watched Teenage Bounty Hunters, that's very Colin Kinsey.
I started on it yesterday.
But yes, I would expect Daisy O'Donnell will someday fall in love and Lee will lose his damn mind.
There was a third question to that I should have asked at the beginning. Is Olivia Barnes Fleetwood in the future for the Farley twins?
Oh, yeah, I already set that up.
Yes. Her love notes back in the...
Olivia Barnes Fleetwood knows what she wants.
That's right.
And she will not let anything deter her, even the two boys. Yeah, no. Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yes or no on their, do you like me? Yes or no? Her note to them. So
if they say no, she's gonna be like, well, I'll make you like me.
Okay, Christy writes that since we got birth stories for Kenzie, Collett, and Seth, would you ever do a short story about the birth of Travis?
Okay, so here's the funny thing. It's sitting on my computer right now, about a quarter of the way done. It's called Stuck at the Office, and I shouldn't have called Stuck because I'm just stuck on it. Like, I know what's supposed to happen, but it just hasn't happened yet.
But yes.
Maybe it's because I don't have like a deadline. Most of those other books had like, they were going in a cookbook or something. I don't have a deadline, so I'm like, she can be pregnant a little while longer. Like, we all know what I did to know.
That's right. Deb McPeak asks, the kids in your books are fascinating. Are they based on your children at all? Is the family tree chart recorded somewhere so you can plan in advance who will wind up together?
Well, so first of all, let me just state, while I have obviously put some kids together, Colin and Cooper you're watching their story kind of play out across the books, their childhood romance. And I firmly intend for Colin and Cooper to end up together at some point in time. Because, dear God, Alex's son needs to be with Ian's daughter. As for and then you've got Aiden, Tristan, and Karis. Other than that, I really don't I'm not going to just put them together with the other kids. There are going to be a lot of people who come from outside. And here's why. I need trauma. Like, how do I have, I lean very heavily on the childhood trauma. Mm-hmm. And most of my people don't have parents and it's all, their family was terrible, which mine was not. So I don't know.
It was not.
It was lovely. So, somebody's got to come into this thing with some trauma.
And you got a little bit of that with Tasha.
Oh, yeah, no, with Tasha, yeah. So, Tasha's got a little trauma. For those of you who do not know who Tasha Taggart is, read No Love Lost.
That's right. Let's see, we did that already. Okay. Will we see all of Ian's kids in a book together ever? And are there any plans to write stories with Ian's children as the main characters? Which you just kind of answered.
Yes, obviously, at some point in time, we're going to move forward and have, in my head, I just call it The Next Generation, which I'm not going to do because it's so Star Trek geeky. I'm probably going to do it. But, all I can say is, yes, read No Love Lost.
Yes.
All of Ian's kids show up. And they show which one is the weakest link.
They do.
It is not the girls.
Rounding Brett.
Not the girls.
Yeah. Okay. Have you thought about doing a reunion? I'm sorry, this is Sandy Kelly. Have you thought about doing a reunion type book now that the older character stories have been written? Like maybe a family reunion type thing to see how they are all doing further down the road.
Okay. I kind of do it in every book. They just show up. Would I do just a flat out reunion? And there are the cookbooks. Would I do one that's just, no, I probably wouldn't. I might do flashes of it in short stories and stuff, but a full-on book, for that to work, you need worry and tension and drama. And I don't know that I really want them to have a bunch of tension in their marriage now. I like to think that some of them are just happy. But I mean, they show up, like you've got a lot of Ian and Charlotte having to parent really, really raucous kids in No Love Lost. You get, you know, the original 5 heroines sit around in Sanctum talking about what it means to have teenagers. So I think that I do give you a lot of glimpses of what their lives are now. I haven't been that great with some characters, but there are 40 books. So, you know, I tend to focus on who would normally and naturally be in a book.
Which is why in Reloaded you'll see a lot more character of the older characters than we had because we've been traveling around with the Lost Boys. They've been all over the world.
So you saw when they went all over the world, you saw a lot of Damon and Penny and a lot of the London team. Well, now we're coming back and we're going to go back to the basics and we're going to be in Dallas a lot of the time. Not that we won't go travel places, but their base is in Dallas. The Reloaded heroes and heroines. Their base is in Dallas, so you should see a lot. I can tell you with Submission Impossible, you're probably going to see a little bit of Sean and Grace because Grace's stepson is going to be a big secondary character in that book, even though it's Hutch's book.
Okay, how did the No Love Lost storyline come together? What was going through your life that compelled you to work it out in the book No Love Lost, which is absolutely amazing, an absolutely amazing read, by the way. So
that's why I picked the question, because she said I was amazing. You know, that was not how I planned it. What happened, and again, spoilers. I did not plan for it to go over the length of years it took. I got into it and realized this is not something that they can handle. His anger issues are not something that will magically go away by them sleeping together. It's just not. Like Protected, I wrote a book called Protected, where, you know, I want love to magically heal people, but therapy works probably, love helps you get into therapy. So that's kind of where all of that came from. I also found, skipping forward a bunch of years is a brilliant way to not have to deal with any of this stuff that's going on in the world today. Because I do tend to like to do some real world things. Right. So now I don't have to worry about COVID or anything. They're out free and clear. You know, how does any story kind of come together for me? It's a lot of pounding my head against a wall. It's a lot of staring at a screen. It's a lot of telling people that my career is over. And then somehow I figure it out. Yeah. Please tell me it's going to happen on this book, because my career is over. I cannot get that 48,000 words in this book.
On almost every book that you write, probably every book you write, at some point you say this is the worst book you've ever written.
It is. Well, this one is.
This one really is.
At some point in time, I'm going to be right.
That's right. You're not. Okay, next question. Solo doesn't remember sleeping with Levi. Did it really happen, or was it a manipulation on his part? Okay.
Funnily enough, I actually really wanted to talk about this part. I went through a lot. Look, sometimes when I write, I will write something that serves the drama in one book and have to deal with it down the line. And that sucks. I'm like, oh no, this will be a great seed. I talk a lot about planting seeds in books. This felt like a really great, almost like anti-love triangle. I played around a lot with her getting roofied. I played around a lot, but at the end of the day, she makes a mistake. And so I'm letting it stand that this happened. That, you know, was she sober enough to consent? Absolutely not. But she was in this position, and I don't want to let Beck off the hook for forgiving her. So yeah, in my, it happened. She had to forgive herself. we make mistakes, and heroes and heroines aren't infallible. If they were, they would be really boring. And that's kind of also the evil of Levi is he puts himself in these positions. He lets you think he's your friend. He lets you, and it's all a manipulation.
Yeah.
To get what he wants.
Okay, we're going to ask 3 questions together. Will there be more Bliss and Sirens books? I feel like they're part of my family, and I would really miss if there aren't more. And then when is Nell going to have her baby? That poor woman has been pregnant forever. Is Nell having twins? I think that's a great comic and plot. that would be funny, but no. And when will the next totally new Bliss or Siren book be coming?
See, I can answer all these right all at once. Yes, there will be more October 29th,
27th, you're right. 27th.
October 27th. Happily Ever After in Bliss. And then next year I'm planning on writing Lucy, Michael, and Ty's story, which is going to be called Far From Bliss. But Michael plays a big part in Happily Ever After in Bliss, so you'll get to see a little bit more of that man on the mountain. So all of those things. Nell is not having twins. She will
not
having that baby.
She is having that baby. Yes.
And my favorite part is that she kind of ends up getting to a place in Stella's cafe, and when they realize they need to go to the hospital, they need to go.
She's in labor.
And Rachel, yeah, she's in labor, and Rachel is like, "All right, guys, clear this out. I'm sorry, this is the birthing booth." Yeah, and Nell's like, "I don't want to use the birthing booth."
That was funny. Okay, so this is Jennifer Zephyr. She has some questions for me. What would you be doing if you weren't working with Lexi?
Yeah, I should be asking these, but I don't have them up, so you have to do it. This is what happens. This is yeah.
I probably would still be teaching. I don't know. I might have pulled my hair out by that point and decided I couldn't do it anymore. I might be working at Home Depot, which is like, I love plants. So yeah, I don't know. Do I have a favorite book storyline? I love Liam. I love Dama's Forever. That there was the next questions. Did you have an OMG moment? So for whatever reason, I don't know why. Usually I know what Lexi is going to write. Like
sometimes I don't tell her.
But in this one, you didn't tell me that the bad guy was his brother. And so I didn't I didn't know until I read it. And that shocked me. I was stunned. I was like, because I'm not very good at seeing things that are like seeing the signs that are coming or anything like that. So when I read that line, that whenever he figured out who he was, shocked me. So so yeah, that's probably my big OMG moment. So, and what's the hardest and what's the best part of your job? The best part,
did they not hear about having to deal with my diva freak out moments?
That's not a big job. That's nothing. But I get to work with my best friend every day, and it's we've had a great time. We've had
used to be she would be in my house every single day.
Yes, and and it's not even like, I'm not going to get all stuff, but it's like not even just best friends. And this is like, we're family, and so we've got to do it together.
What, like on our 20 something anniversary?
Exactly. So this has been an amazing journey. Probably the hardest part of it is that we work a lot. Like books, whenever when you put a book up for at Amazon for pre-order, I don't care if it's Christmas, I don't care if it's it doesn't matter. None of that stuff matters. Holidays don't matter. If it's got to be there on a date, and it's got that's just the way it is. So that's probably the hardest part of it, is just that sometimes there's there's a lot of hours put in. So and then, which of Lexi's characters is your favorite? Also a question for me. Corey says I have to say Corey.
That's funny.
Yes, Corey said I have to say Corey. But I'll go back to Liam because I adore.
Are you serious?
Love Liam.
Are you serious? Liam or Deb?
Oh,
Me over Dev.
oh,
Really?
I didn't even think about that. Okay, I'll have to think about that too, because I loved Deb.
She one time fought me over Dev.
I fought
Like,
for life.
trying to stab me in a Target. She's standing in the middle of a Target screaming into a telephone. Like,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So I guess Deb would have to be the question.
okay, here's the thing. What Chloe loves is a man whore.
I do.
She loves the man whore.
Lucas was one of my favorite characters back then. Yeah.
She has a type.
I have a type. Yes, I do. In books, I wouldn't want that in real life because that's no fun. But in books, definitely. That's so. Yeah, Deb. I hadn't even thought about Deb, but I did. I did go to bat for Deb's life. So.
I think is the next question specifically about have you ever made me change something?
I have a question for you, Chloe. If you couldn't, what would your ideal job career be? I have no idea, really.
Maybe you would teach plants. No, your ideal job would be flipping houses.
I would love to do that, but yeah. And I can't recall if either you or Lexi had mentioned this previously, but how did you meet? I'll take that one.
Oh, me?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's to the two of us, yeah.
Well, we met at elementary school.
Not our elementary school.
Not, but what? No, not ours. Our kids' elementary school.
Our kids' elementary school.
Yeah, I had followed them out of we were, at the time, we were in a little housing development that was kind of far away from the elementary school. Yeah. And so we would drive our kids. It was first grade. I know you met Rich in kindergarten.
Yeah, I did.
But she didn't meet me until our kids were in first grade. And she and a friend of ours, they had a play group. And she looked around and she said, "Hey, isn't Dylan's mom, doesn't she live out where we do?" And they said, "Yeah." And they were like, "Do you want to come to a play group?" Because we had our son, her oldest daughter and my oldest son, my only son, right, were in first grade together. And then our second children were also the very same age. So, oh, and speaking of, somebody asked if I based some of this on my kids. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Some of the is straight out of my kids' mouths, man. Including, Kenzie's using her period to get out of everything. That was my middle child. Man, once she found the power of the period, all her dad had to do was walk in and say her name, and she would just look up, "I have a period," and run away. And Rich would just be like, "What do I say? What do I do? Should we call a doctor? She has her period all the time." I'm like, no. She's just scary.
And then Sarah, I have a Sarah, and this Sarah and Thieves
is based on is based kind of loosely on. Also, the reason why I chose Levi's name is because there was a kid named Levi who was mean to Sarah, and so he was a little douchebag.
He was a little douchebag.
He was a little douchebag. That's where Levi came from. Little douchebag.
I'd forgotten about that. Okay, it's got some Thieves questions now. What's next for the Thieves universe? Are we going to learn more about Sasha in the future? And I'm going to let you answer those two because the next two kind of are a little bit.
All right. Yes. So what's next is a book called The Rebel Queen, which hopefully is going to be out hopefully before mid next year. So it's going to pick up where Stealing Summer left off, and they're going to go find their kids, or the kids are actually going to find them, and their kids are still with Sasha. They're still with Sasha and Trent, and we get to figure out, basically, we're going to take 2 books to get a lay of the land and figure out where everything is. Zoe's going to have to steal back some of the stuff that she hid. Unfortunately, it is still, there was a reason she stole. Merrin's been without his book for years. He is not happy about it.
And isn't her sword in there?
Yeah. They stole Gladys back too. Yeah. Yeah. So Kelsey wants Gladys back. Yes. And then we'll do the Rebel Guardian or Warrior, which will be Kelsey's book, and then we move on to whoever we move on to whoever is going to end up helping Dean and Lee kill Murden. Oh, are you going to ask me the question that makes me feel like a bad mom?
I don't, I'm gonna ask you the pie question next, but I don't.
Okay, go ahead.
So, okay. I have a question and I'm surprised I just caught this. And I didn't think about it until I read this question. In Still the Night, when Dev is in the jail in Stella in Paris, he tells Zoe it's not the worst she's been in. He mentions being in a jail in a weird town in Colorado and they served pie, damn good pie. Was that bliss?
Yes, of course. It's just an Easter egg, and I'm probably not going to write that story.
Next question.
That's what fan fiction is for. Go
Yeah,
to it.
someone should go write
Fan
that
fiction. I'm a big purveyor. Not purveyor. I don't actually write it. But, like, write some fan fiction, man.
That would be a fun fan fiction story.
It would.
It would be. Okay. Assuming Sasha will meet his wife again in the future and she's a companion, this one made me think too. Does that mean Tasha has companion DNA and might show up in the Thieves universe?
Okay, but so Sasha's wife is dead, and this is a soul match. It doesn't have anything to do with DNA.
Right.
Like, now, could she have possibly been a companion? Maybe. I don't ever say that. Oftentimes, latent vampires are very attracted to companions, even though they can't see their glow until they die. Could she have been? Yes. Am I going to move Tasha into Thieves? No.
Yeah.
No, Tasha's going to have a very big part to play in Eminem. And she is going to have a big part to play with the team that forms from a bunch of these kids. Because even though Ian doesn't like the CIA right now, that doesn't mean that his kids aren't going to rebel.
Yes, that's true. You kind of already started on that. Okay, I'm reading Outcast after reading the Thieves and Hunters series, and I was wondering about Daniel and Dev's attraction to each other. Does something happen in the future between them?
Wait, well, here's the thing. Something's already happened in the past. Part of the problem is, when we go from Steal the Night to you move on, and it's, what is it? Is it 7 years after? Do I just like 7 years?
Around 7, yeah.
Wow, I like to time jump 7 years. And it's 7 years later. Deb and Daniel are already having sex, man. They're going at it. It's just that you're in Kelsey's point of view, so you don't see it. If you read Stealing Summer, though, it's not like it's the first time they've had sex in any way. It's just the first time they've done it in this particular way. So, yeah, Deb and Daniel have been going at it hot and heavy for a long time. But it just happened in those intervening years. So if you want to read a Deb and Daniel sex scene, it's in Stealing Summer.
Right, because as far back as Still the Sun, there was something happened between them while they were.
Oh, as far back as, yes. Oh no, yes. So yeah, that in my mind, and if I ever get to write some of the off scenes, it's just a question of time. The tension in Steal the Sun when they come back after Zoe, they come back to get Zoe, and Declan has gone and found them. That tension is because, they got drunk and played around.
Right. Okay, I guess this is one that's going to make you feel like a bad mom. Why do you ignore Reese so much, even in Oleg's story?
I don't ignore Reese. It's just about POV. Go ahead. No, say the whole question.
Even in the Oleg story, only Lee is mentioned. So that's the whole question.
No, Reese was mentioned. He walked in the door. He totally walked in the door. Okay,
That's
why?
The kids, right? He wasn't like.
Now, here's the thing. This, again, it's all about POV. We have only seen them because if you go back in Stealing Summer, in Zoe's POV, Reese shows up. There's a lot of, there's a lot going on in the brief moments that she thinks about her family. Yes, Lee is the one who helps her steal, but Reese is not a big thief, right, the way that Lee is. Now, coming on the other end of this might be a totally different thing. But for the most part, we've seen the royal family through Kelsey's eyes. Kelsey has a deep connection with Lee. That's why you see Lee. I can't just throw everybody in so they get screen time if it doesn't make any sense. It's the same way you don't see much of Evan. You've seen a whole lot of Lee because Kelsey has a connection to Lee. So when we get to the next book and we're in Zoe's POV and she has to deal with her family again, we'll probably see some more of Reese and Evan.
and because like you mainly see Evan like when they needed her blood, and I mean that's the
Yeah, but you just
short.
These are action books, so like the kids are kind of in the background, with the exception because again we're in Kelsey's point of view. She spends a lot of time with Lee in a way that she doesn't with the other kids. But none of the other kids house her father's soul. So.
And they don't get in the trouble that he gets into.
No, not like Lee does.
He's definitely the one that's going to be caught sneaking out or something like that.
Yeah.
And you don't see that on the other one. So, okay, well, that was the last question. So, that was it.
Do you have any questions?
Do I have any questions for you?
Yeah.
Like every day. I don't know what kind of a question.
I've already asked you all the questions I'm going to ask you today. I'm done.
Yeah, I don't know that I have any questions.
So that is our, hopefully we provided information. Mm-hmm. The next book, as we said, is Happily Ever After in Bliss, and then we've got a Bayou book in December, and then we get to delve really into what McKay Taggart looks like 7 years in the future.
Yeah, and that should be a lot of fun.
Lots of kids.
Many kids. So many kids, yes. So, but they're all going to be in our little wiki thing, so they'll be easier to take.
That's right. So it'll be easier for you to track.
That's right.
And I expect everybody, if they find something that's wrong, to tell Chloe.
Yeah, definitely.
Just direct message her right away.
Definitely, because it's been a lot of information input. So yes, definitely could have made some mistakes.
So again, if you want to join the LLU, look us up on Facebook, and we'll come back sometime before the end of the year. Hopefully, at some point in time, we'll get to do a live one. We're not doing a live because I can't keep up with things. I only function if Chloe is sitting right here.
Reading the questions too.
Yes. That is the only way I function.
And
so
social distancing, and have been for a while now. So
March sucks.
It's a very long time. So not been able to watch, like sit down and do our normal Halloween horror movies or our summer horror movies or any of that. So it stinks.
Now the teary emojis show up.
That's right, the teary emojis.
Oh my God, can somebody ship us and write some fan fiction where we get back together?
I think that'd be great.
It probably will go better than the book I'm writing right now.
You're gonna get this one, so.
Okay, well, we will let you go, and hopefully have a nice fall.
Bye.